Hold it. Hold it. There we go. Oh, haha. Okay, uh, sorry about that. Just, just hold on. I'll be with you in just a minute. Hello, and welcome to Chapter 22 of Book 1 of You Should Be Reading. This week we're going to be covering something a little bit different than we normally do. Normally I talk about books and things about books, graphic novels, comic books, all that good stuff. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a specific series, a specific genre of video games. That genre is the visual novel series. Now, some of you out there already know what visual novel is, some of you don't. As you saw, I was playing a little bit of my DS, 3DS actually, but there are some visual novel games on the DS for those of you out there looking for it. Now, this is where I'm going to segue in to the first one. I've got three in specific I want to talk to, but the first one is one that some people may not agree with me in calling this a visual novel game. Generally, a visual novel game is a type of game. Specifically, it started out in Japan. It's still very popular there, and it involves basically the telling of a story. So the majority of gameplay involves you reading lots of text, looking at pictures of the characters. There may be some voice acting in some of them. It all depends. But generally, you're reading a lot of text, and every now and then you pick a choice. You get a choice of maybe two, maybe three, maybe four options, and you get to pick one of them, and that determines how the story is going to progress. Usually in a visual novel, there are a variety of endings that can happen. There's the absolute best ending, there's the absolute worst ending, and there's a whole bunch of flavors in between. Now, this particular series, the first one I'm going to talk about, I'm going to flash a picture here, so just hold on. And yeah, those of you who can see this, those of you that might know exactly what this is, I sincerely hope many of you don't, but this is Phoenix Wright. And he's the main character there in the blue suit with spiky hair. He, in particular, hold on, he is the star of the Ace Attorney series. And the Ace Attorney series, there are a number of games. I am a huge, extremely huge fan of this. I also have Phoenix Wright 5, which just came out recently on the 3DS, their little store, their online store. So it's a digital download only. And I also have the Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton game that came out. Big fan of Phoenix Wright, big fan of Professor Layton. They made a game with both of them together, so naturally I was going to buy that as soon as I possibly could. But I'm here to talk to you about Phoenix Wright. Some of you may disagree that Phoenix Wright is not a visual novel game. I disagree. There is more gameplay involved than a standard visual novel. I'll agree to that. It involves you going around crime scenes, investigating the area, pointing and clicking. There's a lot of point and click adventure in the investigation phase. In the courtroom phase, it's a lot of reading of text, a lot of deciding what you're going to do, which particular part of the testimony you're going to press on, when you're going to present which evidence, so that there's more gameplay. But the core element of a visual novel is still there. You're still reading a lot of text, and you make very few options. That's all it is. It is not a very intensive game. unless you count raging shonen lawyers to be very intense, and sometimes it can be, especially when Phoenix and Miles Edgeworth start battling heads. But it is a visual novel. I believe it is. It's how I would classify it. And the stories that this particular visual novel series tell are amazing. As I said, raging shonen lawyers is a lot of how it's described, and it's pretty accurate because you have, on the one hand, Phoenix Wright, defender of the downtrodden and the unjustly accused, in a court system that is laughably corrupt at best and completely incompetent at worst. It revolves, its particular conceit is that the justice system is so backlogged that they've set it up so that trials only take 3 days maximum. No more, no less. A lot of the prosecutors involved tend to stack the deck in their favor, withhold evidence until it's absolutely necessary that they present it. Sometimes they manage to not present it simply because they don't feel it is necessary. Some of them even present forged evidence on the to win the case. So it's cartoonish, it's over the top. It's an amazing series because it uses that humor to tell stories that are distinctly human, that reach out and just grab the core of you. In the first game alone, the very first one that I played, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, there are a number of different cases that you work on. Each one gets progressively harder until you finally reach the end game and you're ending up, well, I wouldn't say spoiler alert for a game that's been out for quite a while, but in that final case, not including the bonus case that was added for American audiences, but the final case involves you defending the prosecutor that you have been fighting against in all the previous cases to prove him innocent of murder. That's the kind of game this is. If any of you love anime and love the over-the-topness of it, the Ace Attorney games are amazing games to play and amazing stories waiting to be told. So, that's enough of that one. Now, we'll go on to the next one. The next one is this particular game series. Now, some of you may not recognize this one right away because it is not a very well-publicized game. However, this game is 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. This is a true visual novel game. And it has been out for a number of years. There is a sequel out. This one also, it's more of a spiritual sequel. It involves the same general type of setup. Basically, 9 people are trapped inside. Oh, let me just read the back here. The water is rising, there are 9 doors, and time is running out. You have only 9 hours before Junpei and his 8 fellow abductees drown. Numerology, music composition, and logic puzzles are just a few of the 30-plus obstacles that stand in the way of their freedom. You'll have to use everything in your environment to get out. Solve the mysteries that cloud your companions' past and unveil a disturbing future. So basically, someone has kidnapped 9 people, strapped bracelets to them, each numbering 1 through 9, that contain explosives. Unless they play the game like their abductor wants, these explosive bracelets will explode, killing them. But there's also the fact that the ship that they're in is filling up with water, so they have to keep moving. There are 9 doors, there are 9 people, and the way you go through the doors is that you have to take the numbers on the bracelets, and it's up to, basically you have to get 2 to 3 people I think it is, if I remember correctly, where the numbers will add up to 9 in order to go through the door. You can't go through a door alone. You have to go with at least 2 people. And the numbers on the bracelets have to add up to 9, or else kaboom. There are logic puzzles, little bits of gameplay here and there. Most of it is reading text. Most of the puzzles involved are a lot of point and click. So again, very visual novel-esque. Very disturbing as well, this particular one. There is a lot of disturbing imagery in terms of a lot of disturbing storylines, because these are people being pushed and pushed to their limits and to the point of breaking of some of them. There are people that are truly reprehensible mixed in with this group, but to know who those are, you don't know, because nobody knows each other. They all woke up, they all don't remember anything about themselves because of the knockout gas that was used on them. So it's very interesting. I would highly recommend either this one, 9 hours, 9 persons, and 9 doors, or the other one, which I can't remember the name of off by hand. I'll find it and I'll pop it up right there. Now, the last one that I'm going to talk about. This is one that I have not finished exactly. I've played 3 out of the 5 storylines that you can play through, because this last game is at once both a visual novel and a dating sim. Now before any of you run away screaming into the hills because I said the word dating sim, just calm down and listen to me. Now, this is a dating sim in the fact that you are basically developing a relationship with one of 5 different girls at this school. But, and while there, it is, now, okay, let's just cut right to the chase here. A lot of you people out there probably know a lot about dating sims. A lot of you people might not know. For those of you that do know, this is going to be old news. For those of you that don't, there are certain dating sims out there that do allow for more adult progression of the storyline, where the character that you are playing and the girl that you end up dating can engage in sexual relations. Now, that's okay. If you're an adult, that's fine. You can play whatever you want. There are adults that play Bayonetta and use the one-button game method. I don't want to know about it. That's fine. Doesn't matter. But these games do exist. And these particular ones, the dating sim ones, are not the other kind that are out there. There are other kinds like that are called eroge, which I'll pop it up here. Eroge is a Japanese word that basically is short for erotic game. Eroge. And the erotic games are all about the sex. That's literally why they're made. You can tell just from the way they're set up, because there'll be almost nothing but for the entire thing. But the dating sims are something else. They may include sex as part of the story, but they're not all about sex. Usually, in a dating sim, especially if it's one of the good ones and not an eroge, it will be that you may be able to unlock this option and have this happen once towards the end of the story, once the relationship progresses to that point. Which, that's normal. That happens. It's the same as in any story. In real life, when things progress to a certain point, that between 2 consenting adults, it happens. Now, this particular game that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to pop the image up. One moment. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Here we have the 5 main girls from a particular game called Katawa Shoujo. Now, as I said, I have played through 3 of the particular storylines. Uh, Basically, starting from the middle girl, going to the right are the ones that I have played through. Now, hold on, let me pop this back up. Boing, there we go. Now, this particular dating sim is all about a young boy named Nisao Hakai, who is, I believe he's about 16 years old, in high school, and he has a heart attack. And you find out he has arrhythmia, where his heart beats erratically. So he ends up being in the hospital, missing a while, and gets sent to this academy, which is specifically designed, built, and staffed to basically help students who have medical conditions, who have disabilities. It's fully set up with a full hospital on the grounds. And he feels like his life has ended. There's going to be no more of it. Because he's got this medical condition. He will never live a normal life again. He can't do any of the things he used to do. He can't see any of his friends because he's stuck here at this new hospital or this new school because of his condition. He feels like his condition with his heart has robbed him of his life. And as things go and progress, he ends up meeting all of the girls, as you see, as well as some other classmates that are in there. And you end up making your way to the point where you can pursue a relationship with one of these girls in particular. Now, every student at this school either has some sort of disability or some sort of medical condition. Now, the 5 girls that you saw, the tall blonde one, she happens to be blind. The dark-haired one, who you could see a little bit of scarring, she's got some severe scarring on her face, possibly along one side of her body, might be burn scars. The girl, I can't remember her name now. It's been a while since I played it, but those 2 are the ones that I haven't really gone into their stories much. I've met them, I've talked with them in the course of the game, but I've never gone into their stories. Then you have Rin Tezuka. She's the girl that has no arms. I believe, if I remember correctly, she was born with none. She's a bit weird. Let me just jump back a bit. The blonde girl, she's a bit of an aristocratic type. She's very, very well spoken, very formally spoken, always formally dressed, always has this air about her. I wish I could remember her name. Anyways, the scarred girl, I'm probably making a mess of this, but it's a really amazing game. Now, the scarred girl is very, very, very much, as you might guess, she doesn't talk with many people. She's friends with the blind one, and she doesn't deal well with other people. She's very shy. She likes to read a lot. She often misses classes, and nobody really says anything. Nobody really pays any attention to her. It's kind of like she's a ghost walking through it. Then you've got Rin, the artist girl, and she actually is a painter who does a lot of abstract work, and she paints with her feet because she doesn't have arms. She does just about everything with her feet, and she's got the personality of being very much. She's very weird. She's very disconnected from other people and reality as a whole. She often says strange, cryptic things and really only makes sense to her. Then you have the short dark-haired girl with the glasses. I forget her name too, even though I played through her story, but I forget her name. She is deaf, and she has a friend who is extremely ebullient and cheerful with curly pink hair. I forget her name too. Oh God, what a day, huh? But her friend with the pink hair knows sign language, so naturally she's kind of like this interpreter, and the glasses girl, uh, she is the student council president. Um, and she is very much she seems very, very strict, very no nonsense, very, I will get everything done. But when you get to know her, you end up finding out she's actually kind of childlike in a way, in the fact that she's super competitive. She likes to be the best at everything, be the first to get all the assignments done. Um, she likes to win, and she likes to turn anything into a game, which is really, really interesting. And then you have the last one, the really short one there. Now, you can't see it on that particular one, but she has lost both of her legs below, I think just below the knee, to a car accident. And she has prosthetic legs. She has two different kinds, one that lets her walk around normally and one that lets her run, because she was a very athletic girl before her accident. And because of her accident, she ended up learning to walk really, really fast. She's a very driven girl. She ended up going through physiotherapy and learning to walk again in a year, which was quite fast. But she pushes herself to the limit and beyond. And these are the 5 girls in this particular dating sim. Now, I will say that this particular one does have that sexual component to it, only at the end, because it's one of the good dating sims. It doesn't go right out into just nothing but. It's there. However, this dating sim, like a lot of the good ones, gives you the opportunity right from the beginning. You can go in and say, click to turn off adult content. So you can turn that off if you want. If you don't want to experience that at all, turn it off. You won't. The story just progresses like a normal romance story, which is all well and good. I know, I look like the kind of guy who would enjoy a good romance story. But here's the thing. This story, and I've only played through 3 of them, like I said, but the 3 that I have played, I will be finishing the other 2 as soon as I can get the time. But the 3 that I have played have, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, not even a little bit, but I sat there when I got near the endings of those 3 and I cried. There were real tears filling my eyes, because I've never run into a game that has not only dealt with disabilities and medical conditions in such a tasteful way, but also the entire message of this game is that people with disabilities, people with medical conditions, are not less because of what they have to go through. They're not less because of what they have to deal with. They are people just like everyone else. They are people who have hopes, who have dreams. They're no different from normal people. They're no different. They're actually, in some ways, better than normal people, because they have to deal with all this just to come close to a normal life. They have to deal with so much more than what somebody like me has to deal with. Like, I've never been disabled. I've been laid up. I've been on crutches before due to surgery. I'm sure there are plenty of people who have had a bit of a taste. But they deal with all of it so respectfully, because you have this main character who thinks because he has this medical condition his life is over, and yet he ends up finding out that he's been thinking about it all wrong. He's been thinking about his own situation all wrong, because he sees these people at this school dealing with so much worse than what he has to, and not being discouraged, not getting crushed under the weight of his own thoughts or their own thoughts. And there's just so many feels in this game, and it just gives them over and over. It's an amazing game. It's an amazing story. And if you don't like, as I said, if you don't like the adult content, you can shut it off. It's free to download. It's online. You can find it. Just do a web search. Katawa Shoujo. You can download it. It is worth the time to play. Because not only because of the romantic stories that are told, but because of the message that it conveys. It is a strong and powerful message, and it's a message that deserves to be heard by as many people as you can. So, I'm feeling very, very verklempt right now. So for this week, there's not going to be any reading, but this week, you should be reading, or you should be playing, visual novels. The Phoenix Wright games, 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors, Katawa Shoujo. There are others out there. Do a web search for visual novels. Look them up. They're out there. You can find them. Stay away from the Arrow games, unless that's your thing. I'm not telling you how to live. I'm not your father. I'm not your keeper. I'm not your babysitter. Any of you who are youngsters watching my thing, you don't want to play those games. Trust me, you don't want to play those games. Wait till you're older. But visual novels you should play. Find them out there. For those of you who are hating on the dating sims, don't hate on the dating sims. One of the best dating sims I ever played was Thousand Arms, and it was a dating sim RPG on the PlayStation, put up by Atlas. One of the funniest, the best role-playing games I've ever played. And it was all based off of a dating sim, based off of that type of genre. There was more to it because RPG, but still, they're good games. They're good stories. All stories deserve to be given a chance. All stories. Even the bad ones. Even the bad ones deserve to be given a chance. A chance to impress you. A chance to creep into your mind and take root there. If it doesn't, if you've given it a good chance and it doesn't, that's fine. You gave it a chance though. And that's all that I really ask of people, is to give stories a chance, give books a chance. And today, give visual novels a chance. Because they're video games. Maybe they'll get you, for those of you, especially those of you that play a lot of video games and don't read a lot of books, try a visual novel. It might spur you to want to read some more. It might get in there and appear in the brain and take root. So I'm probably overly long now. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And until next time, remember, you should be reading / playing visual novels.